Hey guys, and welcome back to Lost Bits, the series where we explore the unused, altered, and unseen content in gaming. As I make this video, it's been almost 5 years since I made the original Mario Party Lost Bits video. Now this was only the 7th Lost Bits video I ever made, and since then, the series has grown and evolved quite a bit, and honestly, it still blows my mind that video has gotten over 500,000 views since. So after getting a shot of nostalgia this week with the recent release of Mario Party Superstars, even though these guys were cut, I'm more motivated than ever to revisit the original Mario Party and talk about some stuff I didn't cover back then, or that's been documented since. I'll be referencing that video a bunch here, so check it out if you haven't yet, and if you do enjoy this video, be sure to let me and the YouTube algorithm know with a like below. And with all of that said, let's get back to where the party began. It's time to find some lost bits. Alright, so back in 2016, I don't think I covered much pre-release info, so let's start there. Found in a super rare CD-ROM, Nintendo Daijiten Volume 1, basically a Nintendo encyclopedia that I totally want to cover in a future video, is this screenshot of the Slot Car Derby minigame, probably my least favorite in the game. And if you've watched my Mario Kart 64 video, you may recognize the Marioro sign in the background. This is a not-so-subtle spoof of the Marlboro logo, which for all the non-smokers out there is a brand of cigarettes. Just like with the removal of it in international releases of Mario Kart 64, the sign here was ultimately changed to a simple Nintendo logo, likely due to copyright concerns, or even more likely, making the decision to not reference cigarettes at all in a game about bing bing wahooing for some coins and stars. I'm sure this would have went over real well with some parents should this sign have remained. Then next up, in a little bit less of an obscure source, found on the official Japanese website for Mario Party, which surprisingly is still up and running, are several early icons of all the characters in Mario Party 1. Yoshi's and Wario's icons seem to be pretty similar to the one used in the final, but the rest certainly look less polished. Peach's icon looks the most different here, as she isn't even facing forward like the rest of the characters. And furthermore, it bears more resemblance to her character select icon in Mario Kart 64 after she is selected. This shouldn't really be surprising if you've watched my original video on this game, where I discussed several other unused character portraits which also appear to have been taken right from Mario Kart 64. Regardless, I gotta say, seeing old websites like this really takes me back to my early days on the internet. Next up, there are a few text strings that go left over unused in Mario Party. First up is a text string that appears to show an unused outcome in Chance Time, in which the result would have had the players swap places on the board. The string reads, "Oh, the results are in. Why blank and blank switch places. Alright now, go ahead and switch." And there's also even a backup string for the rare case where both players in question were already on the Chance Time space together. Here the end of the string changes to, "At least I thought so, but they're on the same space." Honestly, this could have been a pretty interesting Chance Time outcome in this game. Sure, it's not as drastic as some of the others, but it could have still really shaken up a game. The other two unused text strings also reveal another seemingly scrapped mechanic, what seems to be either the original way Mario Party was supposed to be played, or an optional mode. The first text message reads, "Let me show you where the last star you're looking for is. This is the last star, so good luck everybody." In the final release of this game, there are of course an infinite supply of stars you can get in any given party game, so this text suggests that there was once a different playstyle for the board games where there was just a limited number of stars. And I guess after the last star was obtained, players would just battle it out for the ones that were already distributed. Additionally, there's also this other unused string. There are blank stars left on this map, so be quick about finding them. It's currently unclear if this was the original way of playing through a board game or a scrapped mode, but either way, I think this would have been a cool alternate way to play through a game. Then, moving along, there's what looks to be another scrapped part of this game, and this time in the form of extra content that appears to have been at one point at least planned to be introduced to the game via the Nintendo 64 DD. A quick refresher for those that don't know, basically the 64 Double D was a disk drive attachment for the Nintendo 64 that only released in Japan with some exclusive games, as well as some add-on content to existing N64 games. Shortly after release though, due to very weak sales, the 64DD was promptly taken off the market. Anyways, for this game, only graphics for an error screen meant to be seen when using the 64DD are left over. These graphics include text such as disk access error, asking if the expansion pack is properly inserted, instructing to insert the correct disk and see the instruction booklet, and more. These graphics also exist for other languages including French, German, and Japanese. What's also interesting is that the game can apparently also detect European and Australian Nintendo 64DD units, which never ended up being produced. It's currently unclear what exactly this N64DD expansion content was going to be, maybe some extra boards or minigames, but regardless, I really hope one day we do get some more information about this. Furthermore, apparently these graphics are also found left over in Mario Party 2 as well, so I guess there were some plans to add some sort of content to both games. Speaking of unused minigames, I went over a few of them in my first Lost Bits covering of this game, but there's actually reference to one more that's been documented since. Bungee Jump is a minigame which unfortunately isn't as complete or playable as some of the others I've covered, but it still has references to it left in the game, giving us at least an idea of what it was planned to be. Although its description has been removed, the text for the advice given on the minigame explanation screen is left over in Japanese, and it translates to, "The bungee cord can stretch a bit. Press the button when you're right in front of the coin. If your timing is right, you'll get the treasure." So based on this, it looks like this was a minigame based around timing. Although not confirmed or anything, it's theorized that since Hudson, the developers that made this game, later went on to develop Sonic Shuffle, which has a minigame of the same name, perhaps this Sonic Shuffle minigame was more of a refined version of what was once planned to be seen in the original Mario Party. Next up, I'm sure most people by now know of the version differences between regions, such as the changes to some of the characters' audio.
Oh my god! So I missed!
But what I didn't know until this week is that there's a whole audio track that's straight up just scrapped in only the North American releases of this game. Heard in the minigames Balloon Burst and Musical Mushroom in the Japanese, Australian, and European copies of the game is this song. Now for both of these minigames, the songs heard in the North American copies is Faster Than All, and Coins of the World respectively. And yeah, I have no idea why the decision was made to omit this song from just the North American release. It's a pretty boppin' tune, so I think this omission is kinda strange. Alright, so back to definitely my favorite minigame. When playing through Minigame Island, you actually get to face off against Toad as a final boss of sorts of the one-player mode. Well, apparently it's actually possible to tweak the game to play as Toad in this minigame, and this results in an oddity when winning, as we can see the word all is displayed in place of the character's name. And now, last up for this video, Mario Party actually has a whole bunch of unused graphics that I didn't go over in my previous video. Starting off with the two-dimensional graphics, first are 3 differently colored mushrooms that each appear associated with a respective minigame. The red one for Memory Match, purple in Coin Block Bash, and the green mushroom in Treasure Divers. Additionally, there's this unused graphic of a sign of a green mushroom found amongst the signs for the Buried Treasure minigame, suggesting that there too this mushroom was once planned to have been obtainable. Since these 3 mushroom graphics are all the same size as the coins that are seen in these minigames, it's theorized that these 3 mushrooms might have once been planned to appear in the mentioned minigames. However, whatever effects they may have provided is still currently unknown. Furthermore, there's also sprites of a star graphic which also matches the size of the coins and mushroom, once again suggesting that maybe stars might have once been planned to be obtainable in minigames as well. Next, I went over the early version of Chance Time known as All or Nothing in my previous video, where basically the player just had to try and hit a block and hope it had a Mario mark. Although the minigame still hasn't been able to be loaded, there are actually some graphics still kicking around for it. These are of course the default question sprite, one for Bowser, as well as one for Mario. And speaking of Chance Time, there's also a few early textures for that. All featuring a fiery background, these are apparently the numbers 0 to 3 in Japanese, and these were all very likely used when Chance Time was being developed. Next up, surprisingly, the font from Super Mario 64 is actually found left unused in this game. I guess maybe they were using it as a placeholder earlier in development before implementing the final font style. Then next are two sets of early graphics for the block scene at Bowser's Magma Mountain when reaching one of the branching paths, with one of these looking much more early than the other. And then similarly, there are some early graphics for the main dice block itself, with numbers 5, 7, 8, and 9 oddly missing. Apparently these graphics also went on to remain kicking around in the files for the next two Mario Party games. Next, there's this unused reticle meant for the Bombs Away minigame. It's thought that this was going to be an indicator as to where the cannonballs were being aimed, and I guess this was removed since that might have made the minigame too easy. Then there's this little blooper fella that's found amongst the graphics for the minigame stadium result screen. Not sure what he'd be for, but he looks pretty cool. And lastly, for the 2D graphics, we have sprites for this unused jackhammer for the Crazy Cutter minigame. I guess this might have been an early version of the jackhammer that is used. And finally, moving on to the third dimension. First up, I think I remember covering these in another Mario Party video, but here we got several early and basic platforms, as well as this slide thing. I think it's pretty safe to say that these were likely used in development to test mechanics like jumping and of course, sliding. Then next, we got some unused models of a red and black Bob-omb flag, as well as an early low-poly version of Bowser's Cannon, and all of these are associated, of course, with Wario's Battle Canyon. Then we got some sort of wooden box thing, this thing that kinda looks like the like-likes from Ocarina of Time, and then this thing, whatever this thing is, and these are all unused models found amongst those for Peach's birthday cake, suggesting their once-planned use with that board. And then we got unused models of a coin, mushroom, as well as star. Now what's extra interesting about these last three is that they're all found amongst the models for the Crazy Cutter minigame, suggesting that these might have once been one of the models that escapes the ground after being jackhammered. And yet again, the mushroom and star models here only reinforce the idea that both might have once been planned to be obtainable via certain minigames. Next, I mentioned the early texture for Bowser's Magma Mountain earlier, but there's also a pair of unused models of the weird rock formation sign fellas. In the final version, these only appear as part of the background texture, and I guess maybe this change was made to reduce hardware usage. Then we got this basic bumpy terrain model, maybe once used to test how characters control at different inclines. There's this model of a strange unused wooden room. And then there's an unused model of one of the most overhated controllers in existence. Here though, the grips do look pretty uncomfortable. As if the N64 controller didn't cause enough injury with this game, I feel like I could cut myself on those points. And last but not least, there are several graphics of what seems to have been a scrapped sequence showing how coins were produced. These are all found amongst the models for the minigame stadium result screen, so maybe it was going to show how the coins were made before being dropped onto the players. We got the floor texture, a cart, as well as the tracks it would have moved on, a claw grabbing a sheet of gold, some sort of machine which I guess would then use this die to punch coins out of the gold sheet, resulting in this, and then finally produced coins which would then presumably get piled up in a cart. Honestly, this could have been a pretty cool sequence. I don't think we've ever gotten to see how coins are produced in the Mushroom Kingdom, I guess maybe besides Wario's gold mine in Mario Kart. But yeah, this could have given us some valuable insights into the Mushroom Kingdom's coin minting process. Really hoping that one day we get some more answers to this, or better yet, maybe even see what the sequence was supposed to look like. And that about wraps it up for the Mario Party game that started it all. And I think that's basically it for all three of the original Nintendo 64 Mario Party games for Lost Bits. While you're here, be sure to check out some more of my Mario Party videos if you'd like. And as always, thank you all so much for tuning in today, and I will see you in a bit.